The Great Caffeine Showdown. Coffee versus energy drink. Who's the winner? You guys voted in record numbers for this topic. Coffee, energy drinks and their effect on your body. So buckle up because this one's going to move fast. I will be honest with you, this might be the toughest video yet to stay objective, because to really do this right, we need to look at it from every angle and actually get some real answers. And you thrown me a pretty big challenge with this one. So let's start at the beginning. You know that feeling when you can't wait for your first coffee in the morning, or during a brutal week, right before an exam or in the middle of a long shift, when an energy drink feels like it literally saves your life? What you're triggering in your body in those moments is so much more than just a little extra energy. On one side, you've got sharper focus, performance boost, and even science-backed benefits. On the other side, racing heart, poor sleep, nervous system overload, and long-term risks. That's why today's topic is so fascinating. So what's the truth? Is coffee really healthy? Are energy drinks really that dangerous? And what about the zero versions, sugar-loaded or sugar-free? Does it even matter? Total chaos. In this video, here's what we are going to break down. What happens inside your body the moment you drink coffee or an energy drink? What changes in the medium term? What the long-term cost is if you rely on these drinks every single day to cover up your fatigue? And finally, how to actually use them smartly and which one is worth building into your life and your training. And at the very end, I will share my own secret pre-workout formula, the one I personally use. Are you ready? Let's dive in. What happens immediately after you drink coffee or an energy drink? In the morning, your body is still half asleep. You grab that first coffee, or in the afternoon, when your focus is crashing, you reach for the energy drink. Within minutes, you feel it. Sharper, more alert, like someone just flipped your brain into a higher gear. The biology behind it. Today's main character is caffeine. Its mechanism is blocking the adenosine receptors. Adenosine is the molecule that builds up in your brain throughout the day and makes you feel tired. When you drink caffeine, this blockade means your neurons keep firing as if you weren't tired at all. The result? Dopamine and norepinephrine activity rises in your brain, so you feel more awake and even a little bit happier, but at the same time your cortisol shoots up. That's your stress hormone, mobilizing extra energy as if your body were preparing for an emergency. And with that, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. The famous fight or flight mode, when every cell in your body is screaming, ready for action. That's why, just a few minutes later, your heart is beating faster, your blood vessels dilate, and more oxygen flows into your muscles. The psychological effect, the impact of coffee and energy drinks isn't just chemical, it's learned behavior, classic conditioning. We saw the same thing in the videos about sugar and smoking, but here it's caffeine. The smell, the very first sip, even the click of the can, they can all trigger a dopamine release because your brain has learned that a boost always follows. That's also why the placebo effect works. Studies show that if you give someone decaf but tell them it has caffeine, their reaction time still improves simply because they expect it. And this is exactly where the foundation of dependence is built. You are not just hooked on caffeine itself, but on the ritual around it. Your morning coffee, that energy drink before an exam, or even sitting down for a chat over a cup. And you know me, final form. We can't leave training out of the equation. In sports, caffeine is one of the most researched and most widely used legal performance enhancers, and it's no coincidence. Its impact can be measured in almost every sport: strength, endurance, even speed. When you drink coffee or an energy drink before training, caffeine stimulates your central nervous system. That means two things. First, your sense of fatigue decreases because those adenosine receptors are blocked. And second, your neural activity spikes, giving you faster reaction times, sharper focus, and a stronger connection between your brain and your muscles. That's the moment when you feel sharper in your movement, as if the signals between your nervous system and your muscles are firing faster. Psychologically, caffeine also ramps up adrenaline production. Your heart rate goes up, your blood vessels dilate, and your muscles get more oxygen and nutrients. That's why during a sprint or a heavy lift, you feel like you can explode harder, and in endurance sports, you can keep going longer. Studies show caffeine can boost performance by 2 to 4%. That might not sound like much, but in sports, that's huge. It could be the difference between crossing the line seconds ahead of your competitor or squeezing out that extra rep when you hit the wall. Coffee usually gives you a steadier, more even lift. The effect doesn't hit as suddenly, but it also doesn't crash as hard. That's why in sports it's often the better choice, especially for controlled longer workouts. Energy drinks, on the other hand, don't just have caffeine. They come loaded with taurine, B vitamins and often sugar. That combo hits your nervous system way more aggressively. You get the rapid spike, but your body tends to overreact. Shaky hands, racing heartbeat, and an early crash once the effect fades. For short, high-intensity efforts, it might still work, but long-term, it's mostly a disadvantage. And here's the part most people skip, but not us. What about the sugar-free zero versions? Yes, they are a bit better because you don't get the blood sugar spike and crash you would get from the classic sugar-loaded versions. But let's be real, the caffeine, taurine and additives mix still feels harsher, more synthetic than coffee. The crash might be smaller, but the pounding heartbeat and nervous system overload are still here, especially if you use them regularly or in high amounts. So that first sip of coffee or an energy drink, it really does light you up. Your body flips to emergency mode, you feel sharper, faster, and for a moment it seems like this works. But here's the real question. What happens when it's not just an occasional boost anymore, but a daily habit? And here's where the twist comes in. Your body starts rewriting the rules. This is what happens in the medium term. At first, everything feels perfect. Focus, energy, alertness. But what happens when that single morning coffee or one energy drink turns into a regular, non-negotiable routine? Biologically, your body starts to adapt. This is what we call tolerance. The adenosine receptors in your brain, the ones caffeine blocks, begin to adjust to the constant load. They literally start multiplying to counteract the caffeine's presence. In plain English, the same amount that gives you a buzz at first, a few weeks later, is just enough to keep you from feeling like a zombie. That's why someone who used to be fine with a single morning coffee now needs 3 or 4 cups just to function. Same with energy drinks. At first, one can did the job, but now by 2 p.m. they need another one or their focus completely falls apart. And here's the trap. Those receptors adapt and you constantly feel like you are one step behind your own energy. Drinking more doesn't push you higher, it just drags you back up to the baseline. That's why so many people no longer feel the boost, only the emptiness if they don't get it. Meanwhile, your hormonal system reacts too. Regular caffeine intake chronically raises cortisol and adrenaline levels, keeping you in a permanent mid-stress mode. Your heart rate ticks higher, your blood pressure stays elevated, and your nervous system never fully shifts back into the deep recovery state it needs. That's why, after a while, fatigue doesn't just come from working hard, studying, or training, it comes from the caffeine itself. Imagine it like this. You've spent tomorrow's energy in advance and now your body is chasing after you to catch up. Psychologically, this is where the second stage of dependence kicks in. It's no longer about chasing the experience, it's about fearing the absence. If I don't drink it, I won't function. That's the point, where coffee or energy drinks stop being an extra boost and become a crutch. Every morning turns into the same decision. I need it, or I can go. That's no longer empowerment. That's compulsion. In sports, it gets even trickier. In the short term, you still feel like everything clicks. More strength, better endurance, sharper focus. But when caffeine enters the equation daily, your body starts responding differently. Your nervous system keeps getting the signal. Perform, push, go harder. After training, this means it takes much longer to return to a true rest state. Your heart rate stays higher. Your nervous system keeps buzzing on high gear. And while on the surface you feel like you're handling it better, the deeper layers of recovery, muscle repair, hormonal balance, nervous system reset all start slowing down. Sleep is key here. Caffeine blocks adenosine, which normally guides you into deep sleep. If you don't reach that phase often enough, then even if you train the next day, your battery was never fully charged. That's why many athletes stop feeling the old wow effect from caffeine after a while. They drink it, sure, it makes them buzz, but their performance isn't actually better. Their nervous system just feels more strained, their mood more irritable, and their post-workout recovery weaker. And here comes the flip side. The more you repeat this cycle, the more you're just playing catch up. You're no longer drinking coffee or energy drinks to gain an edge, you are drinking them just to function at all. Your body adapts and your baseline slowly slides downward. Coffee usually builds tolerance more gradually, and its impact is less likely to push your nervous system into overload. Stick to 1 or 2 cups per day and it can stay stable for a long time without serious issues. Energy drinks, though, often deliver double or triple the caffeine dose, plus taurine, sugar, or artificial sweeteners. The sugary versions cause even sharper spikes and crashes, a rapid blood sugar surge, than the classic afternoon collapse. The sugar-free versions might look gentler on paper since they don't hit your blood sugar, but the caffeine plus taurine combo is still far more aggressive than coffee. That's why tolerance builds much faster, and side effects like jitters, headaches, and restlessness hit just the same. The worst part, it's the same for both versions: sleep quality. It's no coincidence that people who regularly consume energy drinks, whether sugary or zero, so often complain that no matter how long they lie in bed, they simply can't fall into deep, restorative sleep. And this raises the bigger question: if your body adapts this much in just few weeks or months, what happens over the years? Think about it. If in the short term you are chasing the boost and in the midterm you're just trying to fill the gaps, where does it all lead? At some point, the game is no longer about whether you are tired. It's about how much damage you are doing to yourself. Everything has a price. When caffeine is part of your life every single day, whether in the form of coffee or energy drinks, your body is constantly trying to adapt. Your sympathetic nervous system stays under permanent stimulation, like driving with the gas pedal half pressed all the time. For a while it feels exciting. You're buzzing, performing, almost like you've got extra energy. But long term, this slowly starts to wear down everything your body needs for real recovery. Your system runs as if it's always slightly over-revved. Your heart rate doesn't just climb during workouts, it starts creeping higher even at rest. That means your heart is doing more work than it should all the time. It's like rolling downhill in a car. You feel faster, sure, but the brakes and the engine are burning out underneath you. Your blood pressure becomes more unstable too. After a can of energy drink, it can spike sharply, then crash back down once the effect wears off. This constant roller coaster doesn't just strain your vessels, it increases the risk of long-term cardiovascular problems. And then there's one of caffeine's less cool side effects: its diuretic effect. Caffeine stimulates your kidneys, making you lose more fluid and electrolytes. That's why after a strong coffee or an energy drink, you find yourself in the bathroom more often. In the short term, maybe no big deal, but over time it can dehydrate you, and that impacts performance too. Muscles contract less efficiently, concentration drops, recovery slows down. A fluid loss of just 2 or 3% already leads to measurable performance decline in sports. Cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, can also stay chronically elevated. At first, that might look like extra energy, since cortisol mobilizes stored fuel, but it weakens your immune system in the background. You become more vulnerable to infections, feel slower from sickness, and feel run down more often. And here comes the bitter truth. Cortisol also impacts body composition. When it stays high long term, your body tends to store more fat, especially around the abdomen. At the same time, your muscle building suffers because true recovery and growth don't happen under stress hormone dominance. They require rest and anabolic processes. That's why the paradox shows up. You might be drinking more caffeine than ever, but seeing less real progress from your training. And let's not forget, too much stimulation impacts your entire hormonal system. Melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep, gets disrupted. That means your sleep becomes shallower. You might get 8 hours, but you still wake up tired because you never reach enough deep sleep. And that's exactly where real recovery and muscle building happen. Over time, daily caffeine and energy drink use can trigger a psychological spiral that goes far deeper than the initial boost. One of the biggest consequences is mental dependence. It's not that you physically couldn't function without it, but in your head, you create the belief, I can do it without this. Slowly it becomes part of your identity. You're the person who can't start the day without coffee, or the student who only survives exams with energy drinks. That inner narrative shrinks your freedom. Instead of giving you power, the habit starts taking control. Another long-term effect is motivation distortion. If every challenge is solved by reaching for an external stimulant, your brain slowly forgets how to summon strength from within. It's not just about energy, it's about mindset. You learn that the solution comes from outside, not inside. Psychologically, this shifts you toward external control and weakens your own sense of responsibility. Then comes the emotional roller coaster. The quick highs are often followed by deep crashes, sometimes resembling depressive symptoms, low mood, constant fatigue, lack of motivation. And because your brain gets used to dopamine coming from outside, your baseline ability to feel joy drops. Not only does coffee stop giving you the same lift, but everyday things stop making you as happy as they once did. Finally, your whole relationship with rest changes. After years of relying on coffee or energy drinks, your body and mind forget what real restedness feels like. You normalize that half tired, half wired state, and that's one of the biggest dangers, losing the reference point of what true natural energy and focus actually are. In training, long-term caffeine use becomes an invisible cost. Your nervous system is always under load, so it takes longer to return to baseline and recovery drags out. Your sleep becomes fragmented, so the deep sleep phase, where muscles truly grow, gets shorter. The result, no matter how much you train, real progress slows down. Caffeine's diuretic effect also plays a role. During longer workouts, you lose fluids and electrolytes faster, which can lead to dehydration, muscle cramps, and a higher risk of injury. For a runner, that means a sudden drop in performance. For a strength athlete, it means technique breaking down under load. With energy drinks, the effect is even harsher. The high doses of caffeine combined with taurine and additives create extreme swings, faster performance crashes, greater nervous system fatigue, and even slower recovery. And as always, we need to add one more twist, because this video is not about demonizing coffee or energy drinks. No, the truth is way more interesting. Yes, you've heard about the short-term benefits, you've seen the medium and long-term costs, but here's the secret. If you use it smartly, caffeine isn't your enemy, it's a weapon that can give you a massive performance advantage, and the key is in your hands, how you choose to use it. In the final block, we are crowned the ultimate winner between coffee and energy drinks. Which one can really stand on your side if you use it right, and most importantly, how to actually make it work for you. And now comes the most important part. How do you actually use this smartly? Because coffee really can be a powerful weapon, but only if you think in systems, only if you balance it with recovery, nutrition, mental optimization, and of course, training. That's exactly why I created the Final Form system. It's not just about workouts, it's an entire lifestyle. Daily workouts, every day a new challenge. A complete 20-week total transformation program guiding you step by step. Separate men's and women's programs with abs and fat loss focuses. Hybrid workouts that combine strength and endurance. A mental guide to keep your mindset sharp. A full nutrition guide and 40 recipe collection with exact macros. And of course, challenges that keep giving you new goals to chase. Download the Final Form app now from the App Store or Google Play. Try the free workouts and see how it reshapes not just your training, but your entire system and life. So now, let's finally settle it. Who's the real winner? We've got 3 contenders: coffee, sugary energy drinks, and the zero versions. Let's put them head to head. First up, coffee, the classic. Natural, stable, and if used smartly, one of the safest performance enhancers out there. Packed with antioxidants, it kicks in more gradually and rarely causes the sudden crash. Not perfect, but long-term, it's the more reliable partner. Next, sugary energy drinks. Brutal, fast-hitting, and undeniable in the short term. Caffeine, taurine, and sugar together hit you like a sledgehammer. You feel like you're exploding with energy within minutes, but then comes the crash. Blood sugar roller coaster, hormonal chaos, nervous system overload. It's like a short-circuited circuit, a huge spark and then smoke. Finally, zero energy drinks. Many people think this is the holy grail because there's no sugar. True, you avoid the blood sugar spike and crash of the classic versions, but let's be clear, the caffeine, taurine and additive combo still hits your nervous system aggressively. The crash might be smaller, but the jitters, racing heart and neurological toll are still there. So let's rank them. Third place, sugary energy drinks, biologically the worst. Caffeine and sugar together create extreme swings that always end in a crash. Second place, zero energy drinks. Better, since there's no insulin trap, but long term they still hammer your nervous system. And the first place, coffee. More balanced, proven safe in the long run, and even offers some health benefits. If there's a winner, this is it. But let's play fair. How much is too much, and when should you take it? Science says the safe daily range of caffeine is 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. For a 70 kilo person, that's around 2 to 400 milligrams before side effects starts to outweigh the benefits. In coffee terms, that's about 2 to 4 cups per day. More than that, it won't give you extra performance, just jitters, irritability, and poor sleep. And here's a critical tip: don't drink your coffee right after waking up. In the morning, your cortisol levels are naturally at their peak. This is the stress hormone that helps your body wake up. If you throw caffeine on the top of that, you disrupt the system. Your body never learns to activate itself, and by the afternoon, the crash hits even harder. The trick is simple: wait 60 to 90 minutes after waking before your first coffee. That's when caffeine lands exactly where your body actually needs it. Before training, time it 30 to 60 minutes before you work out. That's when caffeine peaks in your system. So instead of just helping you survive the day, it adds directly to your performance. And here's another key point: timing your last coffee. There should be at least 4 hours between coffees if you want the maximum effect. Caffeine's half-life is around 5 to 7 hours, which means if you drink one at 5 p.m., half of it is still in your system at 10 p.m. And that's more than enough to damage your sleep quality, even if you feel like you can fall asleep. Your brain waves stay in lighter stage of sleep, recovery gets cut, and you wake up tired. So practically speaking, if you go to bed at 10 p.m., your last coffee should be no later than 3 p.m. That's the sweet spot for most people. Of course, sensitivity varies. Some need to cut it even earlier. And what about energy drinks? Save them for emergencies and exam, a competition, or driving late at night, but never as a daily habit. Regular use not only exhausts your nervous system, it disrupts your circadian rhythm. And now, let me share my own pro tip, the one that, in my experience, beats everything else. If you want the best pre-workout combo, forget the colorful cans. The recipe is simple: a strong coffee. I go for a double espresso, 1 spoon of honey, and a pinch of salt. The coffee sharpens your nervous system. The honey provides fast-absorbing carbs for stable energy without crash. The salt adds sodium, which improves nerve muscle signaling and hydration. It's simple, natural, cheap, and biologically the smartest pre-workout you can get. So yes, the winner is coffee. Not because it's perfect, but because it's the best compromise. Energy drinks, they can be a lifeline in rare moments, but if you need them every day, they stop being a boost and turn into a chain. We saw it with smoking, we saw it with sugar, and now we see it with caffeine. They all follow the same pattern: a small habit that at first gives you strength, then slowly takes over the control. One sip, one puff, one spoonful. And before you realize it, the control slips out of your hands. But here's the difference: some things can be used wisely, and some things you simply can't. At best, only in strict moderation. Alcohol, and maybe this is the most important message: nothing is black and white. Everything depends on context. Why? Or a chain around your wrist. It's the mindset. To look at the whole picture, not just one side. Coffee, if you time it consciously. Certain kinds of sugar, if there's a system and a purpose behind it. Smoking, those will always break you down. That's the line you have to draw. When and in what state you turn to something. Whether a habit becomes a weapon in your hands. If there's one message I want you to take from my videos, to learn to see things in complexity. Whether it's smoking, sugar, caffeine, or anything else, don't judge on reflex. Understand the full picture. And I will be honest, this is why I'm most proud of this community, because down in the comments, more and more of you are showing me that this is how you think, not in extremes, but in context. That's what sparks constructive debate. That's what shows you can ask deeper questions, see with more nuance, and actually apply it in real life. And that's what creates real change, not just in training, but in every area of life. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me how you see today's topic. Share your own experiences, your own habits, your own tips. Where do you draw the line? If you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe and share it with your friends and loved ones. That way, they can approach this topic more consciously. It helps support my work, and you won't miss the next episodes either. And that's exactly what you'll find inside Final Form. It's not just another workout app, it's a complete system. Training programs, nutrition guides, mindset tools, and challenges all in one place. If you've only tried it casually until now, this is the time to level up. Switch to premium membership or grab the most popular discounted yearly option. That way, you are not just only getting a few weeks of motivation, you are locking in a full year of structure that brings real, measurable change. If you're serious about transforming, don't stop at YouTube. Download the Final Form app now from the App Store or Google Play, and let's start working together. Meet me there too, not just in the comments, because real transformation doesn't happen when you watch the videos. It happens when you show up day after day. That's the decision that will make you a completely different person a year from now. Thank you for watching this video. Every Sunday, I'm back with a new episode, not just to fix your training, but to help put your whole life in order. And if you're curious about which classic ab exercise might actually be hurting you the most, check out this video right here and let's fix it once and for all. Or dive into the playlist and keep learning. See you next week. And don't forget, training is just the first step. The real change is you.